knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead, make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Good morning. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Hope you had a good weekend. Thank you so much for being with me. I absolutely appreciate it. I have with me someone that I have the most respect for. My guest is Pat Buchanan. He's been a senior advisor to 3 presidents, and he ran for the Republican nomination back in 1992 and in 1996. And he is the author of 11 books, including his latest book, Suicide of a Superpower, Will America Survive to 2025? Pat, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Jesse Lee, it's been a long time since we talked.
It's been too long, my friend. Thank you. When you say suicide of a superpower, tell the folks what you mean by that.
I think we're the greatest country on earth, and I think we're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And we've done it to ourselves, and you've talked very much, and I heard you on the introduction talking very much about the family.
Yeah.
You know, Jesse Lee, back in 1960, I think 5% of American children were born out of wedlock. And when Pat Moynihan wrote his famous report in 1965, the illegitimacy rate in the black community had risen to 23%. He said, this is a disaster. Yeah. And you look at today, 41% of all children are born out of wedlock. 51% of Hispanic kids are born out of wedlock, and 71% of black kids are born out of wedlock, which means these kids are going to school. They've had no fathers in their home.
Yeah. And
they're going to school, and they're likely to wind up as dropouts. They're likely to wind up in trouble. They're likely to wind up with drug problems, far more likely than kids from 2-parent homes. And that's the disintegration of a society that begins with the disintegration of the family, which begins with the collapse of faith.
Yes. It's hard for me to believe that most people don't see that and understand that we need to rebuild the family in order to turn this around. Why do you think there is not a strong effort to do that?
I think there was a great revolution in the 1960s, and many people who were part of that revolution came out, and they're much older now. They're heading into retirement or already there. But the ideas they brought along have been embraced by an awful lot of people, which is that promiscuity is, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's natural and normal, and the kids ought to be provided with condoms in their schools, and that, marriage is just one option. There's a number you can live together or not.
Yeah.
I mean, the society tends to reflect the ideas of the people in it. Well, take a look at Hollywood. I mean, back in the 1940s, Leo DeRocher was a divorced man, and that caused a great firestorm, and Ingrid Bergman ran off with a lover and left her family, and she had to leave the country. Nowadays, that's just a hot news story in People magazine. It really is. I mean, it's all those things we used to think were wrong.
I know.
Are now just commonplace, and everybody's just entertained by it. I mean, a society that has no common morality or common ethics in common or morality in common ain't going to stay together very long.
Yeah. I talk all the time about how I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama, and I remember for colors only signs, for whites only. I went to a movie theater, Pat, one time when I was a teenager, and we had to sit in the balcony. We're not allowed to sit with white Americans downstairs. But in spite of all that, the family were tight,
Jesse,
fathers and mothers and grandparents.
You are exactly right.
In your book, you talk about the end of white America. And for 20 years, I have been trying to get white Americans to get over the fear of being called racist and start speaking up because they're under attack.
Right.
And I am very concerned that if white Americans become the minorities, then it is over for America as we know it. When you write about that, what do you mean by it?
Well, I think that, and you're correct, it's by abortion and birth control. White Americans are not reproducing themselves. Neither, incidentally, are Europeans, and neither are the Japanese, Jesse. They're going to lose 25 million people between now and 2050.
Yeah.
I think in America, the problem is that we're both a nation of original settlers and a nation of immigrants. And if we have no single ethnic majority in the country, at the same time our religious beliefs are collapsing, and we disagree on American history, and we have no common moral code, what is it that holds us together?
Yeah.
See, when the civil rights movement at its very best, I was there at the March in Washington. Dr. King, he said, I was asking America, basically white America, live up to the meaning of your creed. He meant not only the Constitution, but the Sermon on the Mount, where how we're supposed to treat one another.
Yeah.
And it's when we rise above our ethnic and racial differences to the higher common ground of our Americanism, of our Christian beliefs, our Judeo-Christian heritage, that we can stand together.
How can we stop the vilification of white men? Can that be stopped at this point? And if so, how?
I don't know how, because I think a lot of people have got to make a lot of money and build careers on the vilification, and there's a lot of white folks who frankly are I think just saturated with guilt about the history and the past, and folks will exploit that endlessly. And I think, look, there's sins in America's past, but has any country ever achieved what we've achieved together?
That's right.
Never have. And why don't we all know things have been done, and probably things would be done wrong today.
This has been the Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show, produced by Bond Action. To access the podcast of this show, visit us on the web at bondaction.org.